YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage back with another Heir's faction focus, and this time we'll be looking at the Seleucids. So the Seleucids are a power faction in my opinion, though there are some disadvantages to them, and I'll run through that with you, but in general they're a powerful faction, and they have a lot of facets, and they're a very versatile faction. So let's start from the top, take a look at the units they have available as general, which is a very large number. You can have shield bearers, which is a very strong hoplite unit, similar to picked hoplites. You have royal peltists, which are extremely capable swordsmen. Silver shield swordsmen, which, to be honest, they do have a good charge bonus. I'm not sure if that stands up, though, in patch 12. Strong charge bonus, not such good melee attack for the price, but very sturdy weapon damage. Good melee defense. Ajima Cav, which is kind of like a companion cavalry. In fact, it is basically companion cavalry. And then you have Scythe Chariots, Silver Shield Pikemen, which are a very powerful pike unit. And then you have Hellenic Cataphracts and Indian Armored Elephants. Now, there has been some argument about what are the best pikes in the game. Let's take a look real quick. So, Silver Shield Pikemen are 43, 24, 13, 48. So, 43, 24, 13, 48. Let's take a look at Foot Companions. 45, 24, 13, 50. So, Foot Companions are better. So now, what if we take a look at Hellenic Royal Guard? So Hellenic Royal Guard would need to beat 45, 24, 13, 50. And Hellenic Royal Guard have 47, 24, 13, 52. So Hellenic Royal Guard are indeed the strongest pikemen in the game as far as attack, weapon damage, defense, and all that kind of stuff. So the Silver Shield pikemen are good, and their price is pretty high, to be honest, for the performance. I wouldn't think that many people are going to be using them all too often. But in any case, let's get back to the Seleucids here. You can also pick between a Hellenic Cataphract and an Indian Armored Elephant, which is a dangerous unit indeed. Let's walk through their melee infantry. They've got Hillmen, Thorax Swordsmen, Royal Peltist, and Silver Shield Swordsmen. Swordsmen. Hillmen are basically a crappy, cheap unit. You can throw some upgrades on these guys, but it's going to take a lot before they're useful. They do have good armor-piercing damage. It's half and half. Their melee attack's low, their charge bonus is low, their armor's low, their health is low, and their morale's low. You get what you pay for. Thorax Swordsmen have been improved in recent patches. Their melee attack is higher, but they're still pretty low melee attack for a sword unit. So that means they're going to kill slower, more like a hoplite. They'll do a little better than a hoplite because they have a bonus versus infantry, but I'm just saying they kill a little slower like that, but they are heavily armored, and they have good defense, decent health, and base morale. So a capable unit. Just be careful when you go head-to-head with other sword units, as they may not be as good. Royal Peltists are, of course, able to hold their own against just about anybody, I think, except for Praetorian Guard. They're a very good sword unit. And then you have Silver Shield Swordsmen, which are also a very tough sword unit. They have a very good charge, but their attack is not as good as, say, like the Royal Peltists, so you would need to get the charge for these guys to be effective. And even then, if you're going against a sword unit that's got the high attack, like a Royal Peltist, it's going to be a challenge, because your melee attack is lower, and you're not going to be scoring as many hits, even though you have good weapon damage. So, Persian Hoplites, we'll start off the Spear Infantry. Persian Hoplites, you've also seen these guys in Parthia. Not real good melee attack, but they have decent armor for a cheap unit, and can be used to kind of fend off enemy cav units. But don't count on them to getting a whole lot of kills unless you get them in the right position, just because their melee attack is pretty low. But they do have a solid bonus versus cavalry. Thurio Spears are about the same thing, but with slightly improved stats, and slightly higher cost. And then you have Shield Bearers, which are extremely strong hoplites. They have a pretty punishing attack, decent weapon damage, really good bonus versus large, and a decent charge bonus on top of extremely high armor. But you're going to have to use these guys carefully. They are strong. They can take out certain units very well. But they're going to be slow, and they're not going to be... they're just not going to be real mobile. So be aware of that. And they may take a lot of damage from a cheaper sword unit. Alright, so Pikemen, they have pretty much everything. Levy Pikemen, Pikemen, Thorax Pikemen, which you've all seen before, and then the Silver Shield Pikemen, which I discussed, which I think are about... They're probably around the third strongest pike in the game. I don't know that for sure, but Foot Companions are better than them, and then Hellenic Royal Guard are even better than that. When you're bringing super pikes like these, you have to have a way to force your enemy to attack you, and that's always challenging, because when you pay for these super pike units, you're going to have very little money left for your cavalry and your skirmishers. So it is a very challenging gambit. Now, if your opponent was crazy enough to bring like a rush army and you had brought these guys, you'd be in good shape because they can cut down anything pretty much head to head except for a foot companion or a Hellenic Royal Guard. So yeah, be careful when you pick these guys. You better have a plan in mind, but it's not to say that they couldn't mow down almost anything on the game. When it comes to skirmishers, they have the cheap archers, javelin, and slingers like other successor kingdom type factions. But in the mix with the Seleucids are some eastern skirmish units, like Eastern Javelinmen, Persian Light Archers, and Eastern Slingers. They do not have access to Rhodian Slingers like some of the other successor kingdoms, which makes them a little weaker in the Slinger department, but Eastern Slingers aren't bad, and they're cheap. What they lack in attack stats, they'd make up for in their price. Eastern Javelinmen are also cheap and pack a pretty punishing attack. They can be used to good effect against Roman troops. They have decent armor piercing and a very high missile damage. They are weak to enemy missiles, though, because they have small shields and little armor, so they can be taken down by enemy slingers or archers if you're not careful. Peltists are just going to be a heavy version, slightly less missile damage, but they're going to be more resistant to missile fire. And then light peltists pack more ammo. Less armor than the regular peltists, but more ammo. And then you have the Syrian heavy archers, which you've already seen with Rome. These guys pack good armor and good range, but they sacrifice just a little bit of attack compared to certain archer units that have 32 attack. They do have heavy shot, though, and if you can get them into late game alive, they can be pretty dangerous. But I wouldn't use them against slingers as far as a skirmishing fight goes. And I also wouldn't even want to use them against other archers, because to be honest, these guys are really good with heavy shot, or maybe flaming a group of elephants from a distance. You got to be careful with how you use their ammo, because it's more limited than slingers, and you don't want to use it all up. And that goes for every archer. In campaign, though, archers actually work pretty well. I've used them some in campaign just when playing for fun, and they can be pretty useful there. Alright, shock cavalry. You have a Gema Cav and Hellenic Cataphracts. I would probably almost never go with the Gema Cavalry. It's not really worth the money. You don't get a whole lot of attack or anything else for this type of money. The Hellenic Cataphract is a very good unit, but again, be aware that their melee defense has been taken clear down to 13 in recent patches, which means that in an extended fight, these guys are going to get clobbered by strong melee cav. They do have a very punishing charge bonus. They are a very heavy unit, and their charge will pack some serious wallop. If you're going to use them against sword infantry or anything like that, charge and retreat. Charge and retreat. Charge and retreat. Same thing in a cav fight. Use melee cav to hold down the cav fight. Charge and retreat with these guys, and that's where they're going to be better. Camel Spearmen are a fantastic unit. They scare other horses, as you can see right here. So when you're using a faction that has access to them, I highly suggest taking them because they're good for two things. One, they're good for running down enemy skirmishers, and two, if you take them around for a rear charge, and they do have this trample bonus here, which is very weird for a melee cavalry to have, you can actually get a pretty decent charge, and that scare horse effect, everything all added together, can really turn cav engagements quickly to your favor. They also have access to light cavalry, which is not bad for the price. And then you have access to citizen cav, which I would honestly just go with light cav. And then Median cav, which I believe is a very good cav unit for the cost. And then you have Ozet knights, which are extremely strong melee cav. So they can be used to go against pretty much anything. In fact, these guys could take down most shock cavalry in a head-on charge, just because of the way melee defense has been tweaked recently. As far as skirmishers go, they have horse skirmishers, skirmisher cav, and the only difference between these guys, it looks like, is the amount of missile damage they're dealing out. Skirmisher cavalry is much lower, but has slightly better morale, and apparently this one has quick reload, and this one has precision shot. So these guys can reload quickly. I don't think you would want that really low missile damage, though, because it's going to be kind of worthless. Camel archers are a great unit for harassing, and also, again, they have the same scare effect that camel spearmen do, though they're not going to be very capable in melee, but they can be a good unit to be used against elephants or to hit someone, some enemy cav with flaming missiles before a fight starts. Tarentine cav we covered before, nothing new there. Scythe chariots, these guys are still very powerful in patch, what is it, patch 12 beta, and even in this patch 11. These guys are strong. Beware of them. They have been nerfed some, but I promise you they will still punish your sword infantry badly. There is no real single easy fix to chariots other than killing them with pikes. and good luck getting your pikes to be able to get them, because no sane player is going to bring his chariots into your pikes. Your best bet is massed missile fire to take these guys down as quickly as possible while trying to hold them with a heavy unit like a heavy melee cav. Be aware though, your heavy melee cav could take some damage. Elephants can kind of slow these guys sometime too, but generally speaking, if you get them slowed down, you're going to want to start shooting them with your missiles, and I mean massed missile fire, as much as you can put on them. You don't want your elephants to be there because you'll kill your own elephants as well. Now as far as elephants go, they have Indian war elephants, Indian armored elephants, and then mercenary Syrian armored elephants. So they have access to up to 6 elephants in any given battle, if you could afford that many, which you probably can't. That would be outrageously funny. We should try it. Yeah, you can. Talk about one fantastic troll army. You can almost afford a chariot to go with it. But elephants are easier to deal with from a skirmisher standpoint. If you're worried you're going to be facing these guys, definitely bring javelins or archers. That's going to be the only way you can deal with them easily. Slingers can deal with the unarmored variety fairly quick with massed fire, but the armored variety, it takes a little longer. But generally speaking, archers or javelins are the best way to take care of these guys. If you use them, be careful of pikes and, of course, those missile units I just mentioned. Let's go take a look at a replay and see how I was able to use the Seleucids, see whether or not I did them justice. Let's see, there's a lot of replays here. Yep, this is the one. Looks like I played against Egypt. So I brought some Levy Pikemen, a couple of Thorax swords, 7 Persian light archers, 2 Ozat Knights, 2 Median Cav, 2 Camel Spearmen, 1 Indian armored elephant. My opponent brought some Thorax pikes, 4 of them, 2 Egyptian pikes. Looks like a Galatian swordsman, 3 Cretan archers, and it looks like he also had a Rhodian slinger. So we'll see how or if I'm able to deal with my opponent here. Go ahead and push up. My opponent starts back here in the back. He doesn't want to fight me on the hill. That's fine. It's probably not a real smart idea for him to do so. I feel like I have a good skirmishing advantage here. I've never really seen these Persian archers in action, but I feel like that with 7 of them I should be able to control this fight. But we'll see how that goes. My opponent has an infantry advantage. I have a cavalry advantage if I use it right. And I should have an elephant advantage if I use it right as well. And yeah, as you can see, this is kind of a long replay. So I might fast forward through part of it here, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out, and I'll talk a little bit about the strategy that I had. So obviously I'd like to avoid him in an engagement. He brings his archers up straightway and starts trying to pick at my cav. He wants me to come up here and get in a fight close to his infantry, and his elephants were there to support as well. I'm not going to get in that kind of fight. There's no need to this early in the game. I'm going to chase off his archers here with my Camel Spearmen and then retreat. Basically just giving my archers time to come within range. And my Persian archers didn't do as well as I hoped they would, firing straight into the front of these Thorax pikes. I kind of expected them to do a little more damage, because Persian light archers do have a pretty decent attack for the price. And they're 150 range too. They do not have heavy shot, and the reload is probably quite a bit slower than standard slinger units or Cretan archers. Gonna get my Camel Spearmen out of here. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm kind of pushing the flank with some of my cav, just seeing if I can get my opponent to commit to a cav fight too early. And I'm going to keep trying to use my Camel Spearmen to push back his archers, while my Persian light archers get some more shots. But again, not real impressed with the amount of damage they're doing to these Thorax pikes. I feel like they could and probably should be doing better. But he did retreat right there under my last volley. And I am firing from long range, which is probably not the best idea. This Camel Spearman did actually get a hold of some of his Cretan archers right here and killed a pretty good number of them. He pulled out flaming missiles on me, which almost did cause my men to rout, but most likely he has these Cretan archers on flaming missiles because he's waiting to get a hold of my Indian armored elephants. So here's the thing with flaming missiles. Flaming missiles are good at dealing with armored elephants if they're near their own men. If they're near your men, you might as well just be shooting with regular missiles, because if you run them amok, they're going to keep raffle stomping you, and possibly even worse. So be careful about where and how you run them amok, because it can make a big difference. So I do have my massive line of archers here, and my opponent is clearly not real happy with that, because he doesn't really want to engage me in a skirmish fight, and you can see I'm going basically 3-on-1 in most of these archer scenarios to try and get my fire focused. Cretan archers do have decent armor though, and are relatively hard to take down with these cheaper ones. So he is going to get some decent kills. I mean, my guys are lightly armored and easy to kill for his Cretans, who also have a higher damage and probably a faster reload time. But my focus fire will take its toll. His mercenary Rhodian slingers are actually getting hit pretty good. He's got some more mercenary Cretan archers over here, and he's keeping one in reserve, because see, look, he keeps pointing it at my elephants. And he's very quick to always pull it out and try and keep my elephants away. I honestly probably should have chased it off right here, because he is getting the archers way too far out of line. But I have to be careful, because even just a volley or two can run my elephants amok and get them into my own cavalry. Like right here, boom, should be charging. His archers would have a hard time getting away. I even let them come up here and fire. Pretty retarded on my part to let him to have done this. I was probably paying attention somewhere else, like microing somewhere else. I am. Clearly I'm just microing my guys back here. So I see that he's firing at me, and I start to run back. But that last volley, of course, runs me amok, and I'm not going to let my own elephants run over my own horsemen, so I'm just going to keep my men away from my elephants and keep them away from his flaming missiles long enough to get them back where I want them. And I don't want to take this cav fight that close to a spearman either, and with his elephants nearby and mine running amok, it's just not a good deal. So I am forced to retreat, but I did save all my cavalry for my elephants. But he's going to release another flaming volley and try and keep them running amok. So I'm going to have to charge back and chase his archers back, keep pushing them back. They are amok once again. But I can also just keep my men clear of my elephants while they're running amok. My opponent starts to run citizen cav up to try and push my archers back. My archers have gained kind of a skirmishing advantage. The bad thing is it's taking a lot of ammo. That's one thing I'll say. These Persian archers aren't getting kills as fast as I'd like against these expensive skirmishers. And the more kills, or the more ammo it takes for me to kill his skirmishers, the less effective my guys are going to be, because if my archers don't have enough ammo left to take out his infantry, he's going to win the fight. Unless I can get a cavalry advantage, which is not going to be super easy. So here, looks like this one horseman is trying to commit suicide by getting caught by elephants. He's got some javelins stuck in his horse too. Did they get him? They're trying to get him. Yeah, he decided to stay and fight. As you can see, that was not a good idea. Poor horse. But yeah, in any case, I got my men away. My general is no longer running amok, but my opponent consistently runs his Cretans after my general. He was very persistent about it, and right here, I could have easily done something about it if I weren't having to chase off his own cavalry. So once again, I'm forced to pull my elephants back, which is fine. I don't need them right now anyway. I was kind of using them to try and scare his cavalry. Check that out, my camel spearman rout against the back of his Ptolemaic cav. You gotta be kidding me. But I did get some decent archer fire down in his Ptolemaic cav. He keeps running them towards my my archers, and I'm just going to keep protecting my archers with my pikes. And here I was running my pikes forward, and his Ptolemaic cav just keeps charging and keeps charging and charging. So I just went ahead and pushed backspace, halted my men, and said, "Charge away, friends, charge away." So they get too close, get caught on my pikes, and then my archers open up on them, and I'm able to kill a great number of his Ptolemaic cav there. So it's at this point that my opponent is pretty much out of skirmishers, but I'm running dangerously low on ammunition. So he starts to charge me, which is what he should do. He wants to force an infantry engagement. I do not want an infantry engagement, because right now he still has flaming ammo left on his Cretans, and I can't use my elephants the way that I want, and I'm worried for my swordsmen being able to get around the flanks of his men. My levy pikemen will die relatively quick in a cav fight. Here I did get some good shots on his Cretan archers, because he is still focusing on my elephants, and while he's doing that, I get to take shots at his Cretans. But he also starts to put cav pressure on my archers, which I wasn't really paying attention to, so he's going to swing right around here. Left this wide open. I should have left that swordsman. Whoops. Should have left it right here, and then that would have made that trickier. But I do eventually see what he's doing once it's too late. And so these archers were precious to me, and my opponent's going to take them away. Really smart, Heir. Way to go. Good job by my opponent, though. Seriously, good job. This is exactly what you should do. I wasn't paying attention, and you took advantage of it. And now my archers are on the run. And look, he's still pushing his Cretans. They've got an attack order on my elephants. He just keeps pushing against my elephants with them, trying to run my elephants amok in the rear of my own men, and I'm forced to retreat once again, but this time most of my archers are going to be betrayed and killed because of my negligence in protecting them. He goes ahead and fires flaming arrows on my archers too, which I'm not sure why he did that, but it does damage their morale. So maybe route them quicker, maybe it was just a mistake. Yeah, see, look at him chasing my elephants away with his flaming arrows. I'm gonna go ahead and start outflanking this thorax pike, which is exposed now. And my archers are gonna open up on these Cretans and pretty much finish them off. But these citizen cav, my opponent just keeps pulling through and chasing my archers, which is annoying that he can do it, but probably the best thing for him to do, because the more of these archers he kills, the better chance he has. Some of my pikemen are caught. I really should have just continued to retreat, but I was worried that his cavalry would hit me in the back if I retreated. And he kind of front charges my pikes here through his own men, which kills a few of his cavalry that there was no need for him to lose, but my men rout anyway because his thorax pikemen are dealing me pretty swift death. Now, one thing I should have tried is my pikes are spread out pretty wide here, and to be honest, there's really no need for that. I should have boxed them up, because I kind of think that pikes in a real boxy formation actually do better against pikes that are in a looser formation. And here his Ptolemaic cav was focused on my archers, and so when I hit it with my Median cav, I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to destroy it, but again, he just keeps pulling through, trying to get my archers. Knowing that if he takes out my archers, I don't have a whole lot of chance, because he can just kind of pike box, and his guys will beat mine because he has a combination of thorax pikes, and his Egyptian pikes have a couple of upgrades, so they ought to be more formidable than my levy pikemen. In fact, they're quite a bit more formidable. And he also has elephants. Mine are better, but it's not going to leave me in a very good position to use them. Let's go ahead and fast forward towards the end game here and see what I decide to do, and see what my opponent decides to do. Well, he's no longer got Cretan archers in order to deal with my elephants, and so I do need to just be careful of his pikes. And again, here he moves up his pikes to try and engage me. His men are even in thicker formation, so my pikemen are going to get destroyed. I'm trying to fire some archer shots into his pikemen, and I'm trying to get my swords into a position to outflank, but he's protecting his flanks. See how he does this? He wants to attack me with one unit of pikes and protect me, or protect himself from my elephants. At this point, his elephants come around my flank, and they're going to try and get into the flank of my pikemen. And I chase his elephants. And I don't know if he set this up as a trap, but it ends up working out pretty nice. See how he runs his elephants back through his own pikemen? If my elephants continue to follow, then they're going to end up in the midst of his pikes, which is bad. In fact, I lose an elephant right off the bat to his pikemen. And then he's got another Galatian swordsman here and a thorax pikeman behind my elephants that is out of formation, thank goodness. That's a thorax. That's my thorax swordsman. But he has a thorax pikeman here. And some of my cavalry winds up on the front of it, which was a mistake. I guess I just didn't catch which way this was facing. But I do have my thorax swords here, but this thorax pikeman lasts a lot longer than I thought it would, to be honest. And my elephants are getting killed by these random pikemen, and they're not doing enough damage to his own elephants. You can see his guys have only lost one elephant, mine have lost two. It's just not good. My guys took more HP damage than they should have. I thought that the Indian elephant should be scaring his. They're shaken. But his elephants just really hold out strong here. Very surprisingly. And my flank attack was just ill-timed, and I didn't support it properly. Like, these swordsmen right here, right now I should be taking them right over here, but his elephants just aren't dying. And I can't attack his thorax pikemen. Can't attack, anywhere, really. And I'm out of ammo pretty much at this point, too. And I just really expected my elephants to kill his African war elephants, and it's just not working that way. And here he repurposes his pikes into my elephants, and again, this is going to be very bad for me. My armored elephants are strong. They're just not getting done with what they need to do. And see, look, his elephants kind of get extricated from that fight, and my elephants get stuck here amidst all of his pikes. It's just a bad, bad deal for me. I'll bring my cav into the back of these thorax pikes here. And I've also got my silver shield swordsman, but look, my opponent just forms up into a smaller kind of noob triangle here. And here he's meaning to take these guys from behind, but I did turn my pikes around and mowed down a good number of them, but he's going to pull out of that because he knows he should. I'm just running out of men is my problem. His elephants lived, and they just ended up getting more kills than mine. They ended up being more effective, which is unfortunate because mine really were better. It's kind of irritating, to be honest, that his didn't die, but I mean, I was just in a bad position. And then look at this. Swings his Galatians right around me and into the middle of his box. Something I shouldn't have allowed to happen, but it did. And he dismounted his Ptolemaic Cav. Not sure why he did that, but they're dismounted. Maybe because they have good attack and he just wanted to fight off some of my infantry. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm pretty much screwed at this point. Time is running out. I'm going to do my best to try and break what's left of his box. He doesn't have a ton of troops left, so I start attacking him from the flank here where I think my guys will be more effective, and it is more effective. But it's going to take micro, and my opponent just has more troops left than I do. And one of the problems that I have here is he sends his Galatian swordsmen out at me, which aren't all that good, but my thorax swordsmen aren't all that good either, and it's kind of irritating because they're crappy. But here I push my pikes forward, let them drop their pikes back again, and this is hopefully going to allow me to kind of chew up some of these units from the flank and slowly eat them up. But there's only 30 minutes left in the battle, and at this point I'm pretty sure my opponent's won this. He has this other pike, thorax pike that's come back. He's got his Ptolemaic Cap General. It is dismounted, but he's got it. So there's actually very little I can do to beat my opponent at this point. See here, he's even coming in behind me. All he has to do is just surround me. So it's just not going to work out for me, but the time will run out, but it's clearly a victory for my opponent. So good game to him. I thought I had this one because of the situation I was in, but I think I overestimated Persian light archers and just didn't end up getting to use their ammo for what I needed it to. So this is one of those cases where his more expensive infantry actually pays off. A lot of times you see the opposite, but not here. So the Seleucids, a quick recap. They are good against pretty much anybody. You just have to know how to use them. They can field sword armies, they can field spear armies, they can field pike armies, they can field pretty much anything. I think Egypt as a faction is slightly more versatile, but the Seleucids are quite good. They also have more powerful elephants. So just be aware that the Seleucids are indeed a power faction, and used properly, like I said, they can be used against pretty much anybody. Hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.